The diplomatic transport's landing struts kissed the polished obsidian platform with barely a whisper. Captain Ethan Cross checked his dress uniform one last time, adjusted the ceremonial sash that marked him as Earth's official envoy, and tried to ignore the knot of anxiety in his stomach. "Remember," Ambassador Williams said through his earpiece, "Princess Selene has personally requested this meeting. She's been studying human culture for months. This could be the breakthrough we need for the trade agreement." Ethan nodded to himself, watching through the viewport as the welcoming committee assembled. The Lunarian delegation was impressive, dozens of figures in flowing robes that seemed woven from moonlight itself, their silver skin gleaming under the soft luminescence of their planet's bioluminescent atmosphere. And at the center, unmistakable even at this distance, stood Princess Selene. The transport door hissed open. Ethan descended the ramp with measured steps, military precision keeping his movements smooth despite his nerves. The Lunarian atmosphere was breathable for humans, one of the miraculous coincidences that had made first contact possible, though it tasted faintly of ozone and something sweetly metallic. The welcoming committee parted as he approached, creating a clear path to the princess. Ethan kept his eyes forward, aware of dozens of alien gazes tracking his every move. The Lunarians were humanoid enough that their body language was partially readable. Curiosity, interest, diplomatic reserve. He stopped the appropriate distance away, 3 meters, according to the briefing materials, and began the formal bow that protocol demanded. "Your Highness, on behalf of Earth and the United Terran Council, I bring greetings and—" He looked up. Princess Selene stepped backward so quickly she nearly stumbled. Her hand flew to her mouth, her silver eyes, pupil-less and vast, widening in what could only be shock. The color of her skin shifted, a phenomenon Ethan had read about but never witnessed. Silver to pale lavender, the Lunarian equivalent of blood draining from a human face. "Your face," she whispered, the words barely audible even in the sudden, terrible silence. Ethan froze. Behind him, he could practically feel Ambassador Williams panicking through the comm link. Around them, the Lunarian courtiers exchanged confused glances, their melodic language rising in hushed whispers. Had he offended her somehow? Was there some facial expression he'd made unknowingly, some human feature that Lunarians found repulsive? His mind raced through the cultural briefings, trying to find what he'd done wrong. He started, unsure whether to apologize or explain or simply leave. "No," Princess Selene said, her voice stronger now but trembling with emotion. She held up a hand and the courtiers fell silent. "Forgive me, She took a visible breath, her skin color slowly stabilizing back to silver. "Captain Cross, would you consent to a private audience immediately?" The request was so irregular that even the Lunarian courtiers seemed taken aback. "Your Highness," one of them began, his robes marked with the insignia of high rank, "the formal reception can wait," Selene said firmly. This is important, Lord Thaler. More important than you understand." Her eyes never left Ethan's face, and there was something in her gaze he couldn't interpret. Fear, recognition, something else entirely. "Of course, Your Highness," Ethan said, defaulting to agreement. What else could he do? The private chamber was beautiful in an alien way, walls that seemed carved from solid pearl, furniture that grew organically from the floor, light sources that had no visible origin but bathed everything in soft, lunar radiance. Princess Selene dismissed even her personal guards, leaving just the two of them in the vast space. She stood with her back to him for a long moment, one hand pressed against the wall as if drawing strength from it. Her blonde hair, so strange on her silver skin but striking, cascaded down her back in elaborate braids woven with threads of starlight. "I apologize for my reaction," she said finally, not turning. "It was unforgivably rude. You must think me mad." "I think I'm confused, Your Highness," Ethan admitted. "If I've offended you in some way, please tell me so I can make amends." Selene laughed, a sound like wind chimes that carried notes of hysteria. "Offended? No, Captain, you've terrified me and given me hope, and shattered everything I thought I knew about destiny." She turned to face him, and her eyes were bright with unshed tears, opalescent, catching light like liquid rainbow. "Do your people believe in prophecy, Captain Cross?" "Some do," Ethan said carefully. "I'm not particularly religious myself, Your Highness." "Neither was I," Selene said, "until I was 7 years old and had a vision that changed my life." She moved to a window, or what served as one, a section of wall that had turned transparent, and gazed out at her planet's landscape. Crystalline forests stretched to the horizon, trees of living diamond that sang in the wind. "Our people have certain gifts," she continued. "Most Lunarians have minor psychic sensitivity, but some very rarely have what we call the sight, the ability to glimpse fragments of possible futures." She glanced back at him. "I have the sight, Captain. It's why my family keeps me sheltered, why I rarely appear in public, why this trade negotiation has taken so long to arrange. Every possible future I see, I must help navigate around the dangerous ones." Ethan felt the hair on his neck rising. "Your Highness, I'm not sure I understand what this has to do with." "With your face?" Selene finished. "Everything. When I was 7, I had the most powerful vision of my life. I saw a man, a human man, though I didn't know that word then. We hadn't made contact yet. Your species was just a curiosity detected by our long-range sensors. But I saw him clearly, every detail. The shape of his face, the color of his eyes, brown like earth soil, the scar on his left eyebrow. The way he smiled, slightly crooked." She was looking directly at Ethan now, and he felt his hand unconsciously rise to touch his left eyebrow, where a childhood accident had left its permanent mark. "In my vision," Selene continued, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper, "this man stood beside me as the two suns rose over the crystal valley. We were older. He wore robes marked with both Lunarian and Terran symbols, and we were—" She hesitated. "We were bonded, married in your terms. Life partners in mine." The chamber seemed to contract around Ethan. "You're saying you had a vision of us together?" "I've had hundreds of visions since then," Selene said. "Some I've prevented, wars, accidents, political disasters. Some I've helped bring about, alliances, discoveries, peace treaties. But that one vision, the one of you, never changed, never faded, always there, always the same. You standing beside me, your hand in mine as we watched the dawn together." "That's why you requested me specifically," Ethan realized. "You weren't asking for any Earth envoy, you were asking for me." Selene nodded. "I've been searching your public records for months. When I saw your military file, your photograph, I knew it was you, the man from my vision." She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly looking vulnerable despite her royal bearing. "And I've been terrified ever since." "Terrified? Why?" "Because prophecy is a cage, Captain Cross." Selene's voice rose with emotion. "For 20 years, I've known that man would be central to my future, but I never knew the context. Is he my salvation or my doom?" Does that vision show a future I should pursue or one I should prevent? And most terrifying of all, what if my knowledge of the vision is what causes it? What if by seeking you out, I'm forcing destiny rather than discovering it? Ethan took a careful step closer. With respect, Your Highness, I don't believe in predetermined fate. We make our own choices. Do we? Selene challenged. Then explain to me how you came to be here. Of all the diplomats, soldiers, and politicians on Earth, why you? I volunteered, Ethan said. I've always been fascinated by first contact scenarios. I learned about Lunarian culture, studied your language. Why did you volunteer? Selene pressed. Ethan opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. Why had he volunteered? It had felt like simple ambition at the time, but I had a dream, he said slowly, the memory surfacing. 6 months ago, I was standing in a place I'd never seen under a sky that wasn't Earth's, and there was someone with me. I couldn't see their face, but I felt peace, like I'd found something I didn't know I was looking for. Selene's breath caught. You felt it too, the pull. Maybe, Ethan admitted, or maybe it was just a dream and I've been reading too much into it. Look at me, Selene said. Really look at me, Captain, and tell me what you feel. Ethan met her eyes, those vast, silver, alien eyes, and felt something shift in his chest. Recognition, not of having seen her before, but something deeper, like fitting a key into a lock he hadn't realized was there. I don't know what I feel, he said honestly, but it's something I can't explain. Selene moved closer, closing the distance between them until they stood within arm's reach. Up close, Ethan could see the subtle details the briefings hadn't mentioned. The way her skin seemed to glow from within, the intricate patterns that swirled just beneath the surface like oil on water. The way her hair wasn't quite hair but something finer, almost like fiber optics carrying light. I stepped back when I saw you, she said quietly, because I realized that moment, that exact moment, was the point of no return. Until I saw your face, until we stood together like this, I could still tell myself the vision was just possibility. Now it's probability, and if we continue, if we let whatever this is develop. She reached up, her hand hovering near his face but not quite touching. It becomes inevitability. And that scares you, Ethan said. Shouldn't it scare you? Selene asked. A woman you just met claiming she's seen your future together? Honestly. I should be running for the transport, Ethan said with a slight smile. But I'm not, because I spent 6 months studying everything about your people, and it wasn't just professional curiosity. I was searching for something or someone. We could walk away, Selene said, but her hand had lowered, now resting lightly on his chest, just over his heart. I could release you from the diplomatic mission, send you home, find another path. Could you? Ethan asked. Could you really walk away from this? Selene was quiet for a long moment. No, she admitted finally. I've tried. For 20 years, I've tried to imagine a future without you in it, but every path I see, every possible timeline. You're there, different circumstances, different contexts, but always there, always you. Then maybe, Ethan said carefully, the question isn't whether we should fight destiny. Maybe it's whether we want to. I don't know you, Selene protested weakly. Not really. You could be cruel or boring, or I could be exactly who you need me to be, Ethan interrupted gently. And you could be who I didn't know I was looking for. We won't know unless we try. This is madness, Selene said. Diplomatic incidents have been started over less. Our peoples barely know each other. The cultural differences alone are challenges, not impossibilities, Ethan said. Your Highness, Selene, I'm not saying we get married tomorrow. I'm saying maybe your vision isn't a trap. Maybe it's a promise, a possibility of something good if we're brave enough to choose it. Selene looked up at him, her silver eyes searching his face for something. Whatever she found there must have satisfied her, because slowly, tentatively, she smiled. "You're either very wise or very foolish, Captain Cross." "Probably both," Ethan admitted. "I have a documented history of making impulsive decisions, though this might be my most ambitious one yet. Dating an alien princess." Selene asked, amusement creeping into her voice. "Trusting in visions and prophecy despite being a confirmed skeptic," Ethan corrected. "Though yes, the alien princess part is also fairly ambitious." Selene laughed, real laughter this time, not the diplomatic sound, but something genuine and warm. "Very well, then let us begin with something simple, would you? Would you like to see the Crystal Valley where the vision takes place?" "Now?" Ethan asked. "Why not?" Selene said. "We've already scandalized my court by disappearing for a private audience. We might as well give them something real to gossip about." "Your Highness, are you suggesting we sneak out of your own palace?" Ethan asked, grinning. "I am a princess with prophetic visions and a potentially predetermined future," Selene said primly. "I should be allowed some spontaneity. Besides, you'll need a proper tour if you're going to understand our world. And," she hesitated, "I want to see it through your eyes. The place from my vision, but as it is now in this moment." "What if it changes things?" Ethan asked. "If we go there now before the vision's time frame, then we learn whether destiny bends or breaks," Selene said. "Either way, I'd rather know, wouldn't you?" Ethan considered. By every logical measure, this was insane. He'd known this woman for less than an hour. She'd stepped back from him in horror, confessed to prophetic visions, and was now suggesting they abandon diplomatic protocol to visit a sacred site together. And yet, "Lead the way, Your Highness," he said. Selene's smile could have lit the darkest night. She took his hand, her skin warm and smooth, feeling almost like touching silk that had been left in the sun, and pulled him toward a door he hadn't noticed before. "Oh, and Captain," she said as they slipped into the hidden corridor. "Yes. Call me Selene. If we're doing this, whatever this is, titles seem rather absurd, don't you think?" "Then call me Ethan," he replied. "Ethan," she repeated, testing the name. "It suits you. In my vision, that's what I always called you, but hearing it now, saying it myself." She looked back at him, her expression soft. "It makes it real, not a prophecy, just a possibility." "The best kind," Ethan agreed. They emerged into the crystalline forest, the singing trees creating a symphony around them. Ahead, the path led toward the valley where two suns would rise, where in some possible future they would stand together as partners. But that was later. That was prophecy. This, Selene's hand in his, both of them choosing to walk this path together, this was choice. And Ethan was beginning to think that made all the difference. "Selene," he said as they walked. "Yes, thank you for stepping back, for being honest, for giving us both a choice." She squeezed his hand. "Thank you for staying. For not running when any sensible person would have. For being exactly who I saw. Who we don't know yet if I actually am," Ethan pointed out. "No," Selene agreed, her smile turning mysterious. "But I'm looking forward to finding out." Above them, the crystalline trees sang their ancient songs, and two people, human and Lunarian, stranger and prophecy, walked together toward an uncertain future that suddenly felt like the most natural thing in the universe. Sometimes destiny stepped back to give you room to choose, and sometimes you chose to step forward anyway.